it's Deja with Knit and Crochet Ever After, and today I have a new limited time free pattern. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. I like to give away free stuff, and this year I've started a new program where some of my paid patterns that I sell in my Etsy and Ravelry shops, I am now giving away at the very beginning when I release them for free for a very limited time. So if you're not already subscribed and hitting the notification bell, now's a good time because it is a limited time. So you want to get in here as soon as you get notified, because I don't know how long I will keep each of these patterns up. Some I've done a few weeks, some I've done a few days. It just varies, but I want you to get the free. If not, please support me. You can buy it as well, and I would love that because it makes me happy and it makes me make more videos for you guys. So this is my kind of modern take on an octopus basket. This one is sans eyes, so no eyes. You can see the tentacles kind of splay out, so when it's down there on the ground or on a shelf full, you have kind of the little dangly tentacles everywhere. You can see this yarn, this is Bernat velvet, and it's totally empty, and you can see how well it's standing up without anything in it. So I just kind of wanted to show you how sturdy that is. I do have eyes for it that we are going to attach so that you can see how it looks with and without the eyes. A perfect pattern for like an under the sea nursery, an octopus fan, whatever. It holds a ton, even if you just want to make the basket portion, if you like the actual shape of this, and you can leave off the tentacles. So it's got quite a few uses. I love this Bernat velvet yarn though. This stuff is like my new favorite. It's so soft. The colors that it comes in are beautiful, but go download the pattern if it's still there. Otherwise, you'll see some buy now at Etsy or buy now at Ravelry. We are going to be making the eyeballs together. So the pattern has the instructions for the basket and the tentacles and how to attach those. We are going to be, sorry about that. We are going to be making the eyes to attach, and it's a two-piece little setup. So we have a pupil and then eye socket, I guess, whatever you would call it that you're sticking that into. So I'm going to show you how to make those, and we're going to attach them to the basket so you can see how the basket looks if you haven't already seen the pictures of what it looks like when the eyes are attached. So let's grab the yarn and let's go start making some eyes. So to begin, we're going to do a chain 2 to get our pupil going, and the reason we're doing that is this Bernat velvet has kind of a difficult texture to use a magic adjustable loop with. That fuzziness really gets stuck, and it actually kind of will pull it off if you pull hard enough, so we're not going to use that. We're going to do a chain 2, a kind of a separate way, and we're going to work into the second chain from the hook. We're going to put 6 single crochets into this chain, and as we add those single crochets, it is going to start going around that chain and create our first round. So once we get all 6 of those stitches in, we're going to be ready to start increasing with round 2. Once you finish those 6 stitches, get a I'm using a paper clip for my stitch marker. It was handy, so that's what I'm grabbing. It's a whole alternative kind of thing if you don't have stitch markers. But we're going to start with round 2. We're going to start working into the first stitch. You can count backwards to find it if you need to, but we're going to be doing 2 single crochets in every stitch around. So after that first stitch I make, I'm going to put my stitch marker in there to mark my place so that I don't lose track, because we're working in spirals. So as I go around, I'm going to be adding 1, and then I go back in and add a second single crochet into each of those stitches. And you just kind of really want to take your time finding those stitches because the yarn is a little bit darker. Look for the V's on the top of the stitches if you are getting a little bit lost to be able to see those. So this is going to give us 12 stitches at the end of this round, and then we're going to be doing one more increase round after this before we start rounding out the pupil. Okay, now that we are ready for round 3, we are going to take our stitch marker out so that we can make that first stitch in the first stitch of round 2. And this is going to be 2 single crochets in the first stitch. So I'm going to do my first one and put my stitch marker back. And then I'm going to do another one in that same stitch for my increase. Then I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and that's going to be the pattern repeat. We're going to do 1 single crochet, 2 in the same stitch, and then 1 in the next stitch. So this is going to give us 6 more stitches for this round for a total of 18 stitches, and that's kind of going to be, well, it is going to be the total stitches that we are going to be doing for the pupil. So again, we're doing 2 single crochets and then 1 single crochet. So 2 single crochets in one stitch, and then the next stitch will be 1 single crochet. So we're just going to finish that around, and then we will move on to start rounding out our pupil. Okay, we are done with round 3, finishing my last stitch. Moving on to round 4, we're going to remove that stitch marker, of course, and we're going to do some single crochets all the way around. So just 1 single crochet in each stitch. Don't forget to replace your stitch marker, and then we're going to do those single crochets all the way around to get our pupil rounded out, and then we will come back for round 5 when we start to do some decreasing. Okay, just finishing up the last couple stitches of round 4, and then we're going to start with round 5, which is our decreasing round, to bring out the roundness of the pupil, kind of turn it into a little ball. So we're going to take out the stitch marker, and we're going to do a single crochet 2 together. So I'm going to insert in, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through both stitches, or all 3 stitches on my hook to decrease by 1 stitch. Then I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch, so it's going to be a repeat. I'm going to do single crochet 2 together and then single crochet. So we're going to reduce by 6 stitches right after we increase by 6 to bring our stitch count back down to 12. So again, single crochet 2 together and then single crochet all the way around, and then we'll come back and do 1 more row of decreasing before we close this hole up. Okay, here we are right at the end of round 5, forgetting what round I'm on, and we're just finishing up those single crochet 2 togethers and the last single crochet. And then for round 6, it's going to be really easy. We're single crocheting 2 together in every stitch, so we're taking it from 12 to 6. So we insert, pull up a loop, insert in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. Don't forget to put your stitch marker back. And then we're just going to repeat that around. So we're going to do single crochet 2 together 5 more times to reduce our count by 6 and get that ball rounded out. And then we are going to close it off. So inserting into the next stitch, pulling up a loop, inserting into the stitch after, pull up another loop. You can tuck in your tails to get them out of the way, because we are going to stuff this guy as soon as we are done with this round. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to do those decreases. So continue that around, and then we'll come back and finish off this guy. Alright, we are finishing off the last stitch. We're pulling out our loop, and we're going to cut that. We're going to make it long enough to weave in to the last 6 stitches to close off the hole. So we'll cut that. And then before we close off our hole, we need to do some stuffing. So you can either use some polyfill or grab some yarn. For small projects like this, I like using yarn to stuff my ball because the stuffing gets a little difficult to try to stuff into that little hole. So I just grabbed scraps of the yarn that I'm using. Just if you don't have scraps, just cut a little bit off. There should be a ton left over from this color. So you can sit there and stuff it all up. You can use other colors if your stitches are nice and tight and are not gonna poke through where you'll see the color underneath. But using the yarn that's the same color as your project really is foolproof, so that you don't have anything peeking through the stitches if they're not quite as tight as you would hope they would be. So you can see I am stuffing a ton of scrap yarn. You can just, it's amazing how much it will hold. We'll just stuff it until it seems like it is stuffed enough, and then we're gonna, stuff it some more. It really can hold a lot, but once you get every little last bit in there, and you kind of got to like grab the tails just to kind of keep it out of there so you don't stuff those in as well, but then you are going to be ready to close up your hole if you're happy with how nice and firm it is. If not, stuff it some more. You thought I was done, didn't you? No, I like to make sure that it is nice and firm for this project. You can make the eyes a little less squishy, but it kind of stays better in the eye socket if you make it nice and firm. So once you get that all good to go, then you're going to go and grab your needle so that you can close up the hole for your pupil. So just thread it on there, both strands. And then you're going to weave in and out of those last 6 stitches. So you'll go through one way, out the other way. So just go through every single stitch, go back the other way. So just go opposite ways to get that all woven in. Once you get all 6 stitches on the needle, or the tail of the needle, then you're just going to pull that nice and tight. And you can kind of weave it in. You can do a little bit, whatever you like. Otherwise, you can just stick it right through the center. It's not going to go anywhere. And you're going to pull it out and then cut it. Just kind of pull it a little tight, and when you cut it, it should pop right back into the project. You can also leave the tails out if you want to sew it to the eye socket, if it's going to be for like a small child, so that they don't pop out if they're playing with it. So either or, but then you have your pupil. So let's go move on to the eye socket. Okay, so now for the eye socket, you'll see that I've already started on it. I've done rounds 1, 2, and 3, which are the same as the pupil, where we're doing the increasing to 18 stitches. Then we're going to be doing some extra increasing. So this round, we're going to be doing some more single crochet, twice in a stitch, so that we can get up to 24 stitches. So we're going to single crochet 2 times in the first stitch. Always replace that stitch marker, and I got a stitch marker this time. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So it's single crochet 2 times in the next stitch. So insert, pull up a loop, single crochet, insert in the same stitch, pull up a loop, single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet 1 time in each of the next 2 stitches. So we're just always increasing by 6, which is good for single crochet. It keeps that round shape. We are going to wind up with 24 stitches, which is going to be the max that we're going to be doing for our eye socket. And then we're going to be doing a lot of rounds of just 24 stitches. So let's get to the end of this round and we'll talk about those. Okay, here we are at the end of round 4, and we are moving on to round 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds, you are just going to be single crocheting a round. So it's going to be 24 stitches in each round, 1 single crochet in each stitch. Do not forget your stitch marker so you do not lose your place. And this is just going to create a nice kind of tube that we're going to flatten out when we're done to put that pupil in. So real basic, real easy, just single crochet around, get to the end of round 10 and then we'll come back to do some decreasing. All right, we are here at the end of round 10. We are ready to move on to decreasing our rounds, finishing off this last stitch. Then we are going to do kind of the opposite, where we just did 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. We're now going to do a single crochet 2 together in the next 2 stitches. So we're taking those 2 stitches we just increased and decreasing them back to 1. So this round's going to get rid of 6 stitches. We're going to go from 24 to 18 by doing single crochet 2 together, put your stitch marker back, and then single crocheting in each of the next 2 stitches. That is our repeat. So single crochet 2 together, and then single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So complete that round, and then we will come back to round 11. Sorry, I misspoke. I meant round 12 we are on, which is going to be a total duplicate of round 5 of the pupil, and then round 13 is going to be a duplicate of round 6 of the pupil. So you're just going to be doing these decreasing so that you can get that hole all the way to almost close, so that we can do the weaving in like we did previously. The only difference with this portion is we are not stuffing it. So continue those decreasing rounds, refer to the previous portion if you need to. Okay, here we are finishing off that end of round 13. We're pulling out the end of our tail once again and cutting that sucker, and then we are going to be closing up this round one more time. Well, you'll do it twice because you're probably making 2 eyes. So put the yarn on your needle. You'll notice the little fuzzies behind me. That's one little downside to the Bernat velvet, is that when you cut it, you tend to get some like flyaways because it's so fuzzy. So be wary if you're wearing dark clothing. So as we did before, we're going to weave in and out of those last 6 stitches and then yank that sucker closed to finish off the hole. And you'll notice it's flat, no stuffing. So then we're just going to use our fingers to kind of push it into a bowl so that way it can hold the pupil. So you're going to push that into the bowl. If you kept your tail on the pupil, you can sew that in so it doesn't come out for small children. Otherwise, just stick the pupil in and you are good to go, and you'll have the tails from the socket to be able to attach to the basket. So we will go on and show you how to put those onto the basket, which is, pretty self-explanatory, but I'll demonstrate it for you. So let's go do that right now. Okay, once you have finished your eyes, and like I said before, you can use the tail of the pupil to secure it inside if you're doing it for smaller children so that they don't pull that out. But if not, it just kind of sits in there and it doesn't fall out. So it's up to you on if you do that or not. But then you have your 2 ends that you closed your hole with that you have left over, and these are going to be what you sew it on with. Nice and easy, so you don't have to sew these in. So you can either do between tentacles or on top of a tentacle. I kind of like how it looks better on top of a tentacle. So I'm going to do each strand separately so that I can get it like kind of more separated from each other so that it is a little bit more sturdy. So I'm going to pull that through first, then I'm going to get this one and pull that one through. And the eyes are very 3D. So they will flop if you don't secure them well. So I'm just bringing that in. Then I'm going to come back out with that yarn and I'm going to just secure the top of it. So I'm going to come in and out of the top of the eye, and I lost it. And I'm only going to do that just like once, just so that it doesn't flop down when it's sitting. And then I'm going to go back in, and depending on where you want to weave it in, you can kind of weave it in either with the eye or on the basket. a little bit easier on the basket. So let me get you inside here. So I'm just going to kind of go in between and around and weave in like I would for a normal end, just to secure it in. So I'm going to do that back and forth, do that with both eyes, and then we are going to be ready to go. Okay, we've got the eyes added to the octopus basket. I think it gives him a little bit more character, but totally you can leave them out. You can also make the pupils the same color as the basket if you want like a monotone look, but I think they're kind of cute. So this is the octopus basket. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on those free patterns, and thank you for watching.